Right, I was thinking that.
All right, good afternoon, welcome. Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections Special Call Meeting. Date is August 20th, and the time is 4:35 p.m. We're at 255 Lexington Road. First item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Chair entertains a motion.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion, Ms. Darrow, second, Ms. Till. All those in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye. Agenda is adopted. Next item on the agenda is public comment. I'd just like to take a moment to remind our board members and the public that per our bylaws, each member of the public will be allowed 3 minutes to speak uninterrupted by the board. Board will remain silent and attentive to what you have to say. And then we'll go from there. Any other board members want to add anything additional to that?
That's what I like to say, this is just one thing. Meeting.
Would you like to say it? Or
Just for your general information, some people have spoken.
hold on, Ms. Till. Just hold that phone.
Yeah. Some people have spoken in other meetings that we're not accustomed to going to meetings and until they threw me in here, I've never been in a meeting either. So just for a heads up for you, by our laws, our bylaws, the public is welcome for 3 minutes to stand up and talk about whatever it is that they would like for us to know or think about. And then when our meeting, because you're just listeners, when our meeting starts, then your conversation should cease. And if you want to speak to us after the meeting, you're welcome to do that.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Hill. And just to add one more thing, happy to talk to anyone outside in the parking lot for as long as you want to talk. And with that, let's begin public comment. Let me get my time out. All right, I will call your name and then you can just stand up in place and we'll go from there. All right, the first person on the list is Mr. Greg Davis.
Howdy,
Howdy.
thank you for your service. I had the opportunity yesterday to spend virtually all day with the Georgia Board of Elections. And I was allowed to speak at 6:20 in the evening. So I appreciate the early period today. I just wanted to share my remarks with you. It deals with an agenda item that they were discussing. As a voting precinct worker in Clarke County for a few election cycles, I believe counting of ballots at the precinct level is a bad idea. As many have said already, this was yesterday, there are chain of custody issues, a greater chance of error, and a greater possibility of a ballot being misplaced in a school, church, or community center that are used as precincts. Though I was initially hopeful that Ms. King is one of our members of the Georgia Board of Elections, amendment to provide that this ballot count be done by the next day at the local boards of education. Her final language that came after lunch was that this must be done by the count could be done in the local board of education offices, but by each precinct manager and assistant manager. That's not helpful. It is really realistic. It is not realistic to ask these individuals to show up the next day following the election at the Board of Election offices to conduct the count. What if one but not the other can attend? Because they're talking about the chair, the manager and the assistant manager. What if one of them can't attend? Additionally, it was also specified that it be established by 10 a.m. on the day of the election when they would be there the next day. That's not realistic. Why can we not just depend on the permanent and temporary staff stationed at the local boards of elections to do this? Yeah. That's what they're there for. In Clarke County, we arrive at our precinct at 6 a.m. to complete setup. Every hour, beginning at 7, we then record the numbers obtained from the poll pads, the ballot marking devices, and the scanner on the owl. At 7 p.m., it takes myself and 5 co-workers almost 2 hours to record the final counts on the poll pads, ballot marking devices, and scanner. Shut down the equipment using a couple of dozen 8-digit coded zip ties, store all the equipment in their cases, gather and count all materials used during the day, tables, batteries, signs, styluses, etc. As to the scanner, 2 poll workers power down the scanner, unlock the scanner, pull out.
Time.
It's already?
It is already, unfortunately,
Okay.
there we go. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Next person on the list is Miss Jacqueline Elsner.
Jacqueline Ellsworth, 315 Colville Circle, and I'm here to talk about y'all's schedule for advanced voting. And I support changing the main office location to Linden House, as was discussed and still on your, to be approved. We're moving the drop box and its surveillance camera to Linden House as well. The other thing I support is the tape center, those 3 days, Monday 28th, Tuesday, October 30, Wednesday, October 30. And I would ask if there's any way you can make it 7 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. because the students say that would allow for a larger voter participation. And we really want to get the highest turnout possible. But I know it's staffing and tape center has to say yay on command. Anyway, those are my suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next person is Miss Joan Rhoden.
I want to say thank you to Lisa McGlone, who was stopped to talk to us about the question that we had at last meeting about the minutes not being posted until months and months and after the meetings. And Lisa said, well, it's because they're not approved. And I said, well, could the unapproved minutes be put out? And then it said unapproved minutes. And she said, yes, that would be an easy fix, but they're not there. 2 meetings ago, well, in 2 meetings, I came because there was a quote in the agenda about changing challenges to voters. That piqued my attention. The rest of it was nothing but just lines of information that said we're going to discuss this or that. Nothing about what was really going to take place other than discussion. So I came for the discussion. Discussion was tabled. I came back to the table discussion. And at the table discussion, we were told that they had confronted the attorneys, and the attorney said that they sent an email, 5-page email, and that was attorney-client privilege. So we knew nothing about what that email said because it was attorney-client privilege. At that meeting, we were told, people that were sitting here, that you were going into executive session. So executive session meant we couldn't hear that. We couldn't see the attorney-client privilege email. But when I got home, it was in the news that you had decided that the attorneys didn't think it was a good idea, which I stated when I talked to you that there would be some backlash legally about that. Cobb County's going to face it as well, so just be apprised. So I just come to say that I come to hear about what is going to take place here so that I can, in some way, shape, or form, with some level of information, share or ask questions. But it is not easy to get questions answered from this group. And I sat for 2 hours with a board member, and generous, very wonderful, had a wonderful time, but getting the information that we need is not easily accessible.
Thank you. All right, the next person is Mr. Jake Hayes.
Hey y'all, my name's Jake Hayes. I'm the president of Young Dems. So I got two things. One, I would love to talk to y'all after the meeting or sometime later this week or next week about student voter registration and information that we can give to people on campus about that, especially those who maybe don't have their Athens address on the driver's license. Second, I would love to talk about the Tate early voting hours in 2022. It was 3 days with 1 day extended hours, 7 to 7. Turnout's going to be bigger this year. It's always bigger in the presidential election. And so we're just asking that it goes from 7 to 7, 1 day on a Tuesday. Well, yeah, I guess Tuesday, the 29th, and then Wednesday, the 30th. Because Tuesday, schedules are on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday. That's 6 hours more. I know that y'all are stretched for resources, but this is a good way to get turnout. Even 7 to 5, 5 to 7, I'm on campus every day from then. There ain't that many people on campus. 7 to 8, vote before your 8 a.m. Professors before their 8 a.m. class. Just makes no sense. So I would love y'all's consideration on that and love to see it happen. Both college Republicans, Young Democrats, we're working with SGA to make it happen, send out information. And we would love y'all's help and getting the youth vote out, because it's democracy.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, the next person I have is Brennan. Is it Brennan Lewis? Brennan. Okay, just a minute.
So I'm with the college Republicans instead of the Young, so we're working together on this. So, yeah, so I would agree with, mostly what he said. Yeah, 7 to 5 or 9 to 5 is a little bit, or 9 to 7, a little bit, you know, it would be a lot better if it was 2 hours before, just because a lot of people are gonna be on campus way more than they would be from 5 to 7, especially in the morning. A lot of people said have 8 a.m. classes, having from 7, starting at 7, and going from until like 5-ish. That would be a lot better than 9 to 9 to 7. So I would just agree with that.
Great, thank you. Okay. And then the last person I have on my list here is Miss Dorothy.
Hi, good to see you all again. Thank you very much. Just very quickly, I'm a novice at this. This was probably obvious from the first couple of times. I do think that this looks like a very big turnout election. I hope it's a very big turnout election. I feel sure that y'all have taken that into consideration. Perhaps maybe a little bit more consideration about that. Thrilled to hear that the Young Dems and the Young Republicans are here together around that issue, so I really urge that, and I think the registration issue is important because of the complexity of being in two places. You can be registered in Georgia, even though the parents live somewhere else, as you know. So, I've learned more about the hours and the location and see what a delicate progress this is to try and figure out when there and who's going to staff everything. I think the Linden House does sound like a much better option in the room. And other things look fine. The Sunday voting to me still could be extended because back in the days when my big family used to go to church and have Sunday dinner, we were done with church. So I'd like to see Sunday voting extended some and some more days where we would have 7 to 7 for working folks who could get to that. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Does anybody else wish to make public comment?
I'm sorry, I didn't miss you.
Mr. Ross, right?
Ross Watson.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And once again, appreciate the time and appreciate the rearrangement here for us, so we can better see and talk to each other. I got a totally different subject. I'm gonna talk about DJs at the polls. Last, election in May, at the tennis center, we had a DJ and a crew set up outside of the 150 parameter, and they played DJ music from 11 to 2. And they then moved on to the Orford precinct in the state of Georgia. We were told that this by the board, that this was approved by the Secretary of State, which is all well and fine. However, we were not told anything in the field that this was even happening. It was a total surprise to us. What I would like to do is, if you go to djsatthepolls.org/Georgia sign up, GA sign up, you will see that they are taking reservations and applications to work the Georgia polls. My question is this, and this is my concern. What's the distance from the polling building? What's the distance from the voters standing in line? And that's a moving target during the day. What's going to be the volume level of the music? What's going to be the selection of the music and the lyrics? Who's going to control it? How are we going to do crowd control if the DJs gather enough attention, they start affecting the people being able to come into the building or to get parking lots, and there's not any room for the voters to vote? What precincts are going to have DJs and which ones are? How are we going to, hate to use the word discriminate, but how are you going to choose who's going to get involved in it? And probably the last thing, I'm all for stepping outside of the box and trying innovative things. But I don't know about an experimental box for this type of an election and the magnitude of the emotions and everything in this election. So I just want to be sure that the board's aware of it. It's happening. They're taking applications right now. I just finished reading an article. North Carolina is going full bore with it. I don't know how they're going to manage it. But this state and Phoenix and Arizona and a few others participated back in the May election. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion of advanced voting dates, times, locations for the November general election. One housekeeping item, which the director will probably address. The one that's printed on the back of your agenda is incorrect as far as the staff's recommendation. They provided a new sheet. So I just crossed mine out to make sure we're all on the same page. There, okay. Before I recognize the director, any board members wish to make a opening comment related to the schedule? Nope. Okay. I will make just a brief comment. It's my hope that we can offer extended hours at Marion Moore and the library during week 3. Why don't you recognize, why don't you walk us through what you presented and we'll go from there.
So just a little history. Our 2020 election, one of the main issues that we had was headcount. We did not have enough poll workers to staff our advanced voting locations. And some of our polling locations, we did not have the adequate amount of workers, but we made it through. This particular year, the issue is having a facility who has personnel who is able to give us access to the buildings as early as 6:30 a.m. so that our poll workers will anywhere from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. So our poll workers can come in and do their preliminary tasks before the polls open. In addition to that, we have to have someone who will be available to close the facilities down. And that would be sometimes as late as 8 p.m. And this is referring to if the hours are from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. So what we've done is we've contacted all of the locations, specifically the library, with the tennis center, Linden House. We contacted UGA, and we contacted Miriam Moore.
We contacted all of them.
Okay, we contacted all of them. The issue that we have with Linden House, we cannot get, their approval to allow the 7 to 7 for the 3 weeks. So to remedy that, I'm offering that we continue with using the elections office from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. for the entire 3 weeks. That would, again, voters need to understand that there is a space issue at the office. So that means that we will not have a sufficient amount of equipment, but we will have the max that we can have so that there will be privacy for the voter as well as space and not to cause any kind of circuit breaker situations and putting overload on our watch. So we're proposing that. We're proposing to change Linden House to 9 to 5 a.m. to match the other location, so there's no confusion when we're doing our advertising. And we did keep UGA Tate Center at 9 to 5 and 9 to 7. So I want to mention, you know, we want to create a buffet menu, you know, and make everybody happy. But we have to keep a lot of things in mind. There is 24-hour access to the ballot. There are options of voting by absentee. And then, of course, on election day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I mention that because there are some that are advocating for a paper ballot, where there's your paper ballot and absentee balloting. And then 7 to 7, there's election day. But we'll do the best we can to provide the dates, times, and locations, what you approve, the board, and but to keep in mind that we cannot just barge in on these locations. We have gotten approval from Miriam Moore, if they're willing to give us the hours that we need. I believe UGA has also, we received an email that they are willing to allow us in from 7 to 7. And again, our office has, okay, 7 to 7.
Okay. That's it for now?
Yeah.
Is there a way to go back and look at, is it 22, the Senate races, what we did at the library? Include this.
Oh, yeah, and can I also add this?
Sure.
When you add what I recommended, there are 620 hours available for our voters. Nothing we've never done before. In 2020, we had 254 hours of advanced voting. 2020 elections. And advanced voting turnout, we had 23,811 voters who took advantage of advanced voting.
Oh,
Got bids, is that what you're after?
Awesome. What were the times?
Oh, I see.
Because I seem to have a memory of the library director saying that she would open the door herself during those.
Different register.
Wow.
What's in the different registers? 22. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm showing you it's not, at least the that I have. November 2, 9 to 5, library, the week 3. Is what we had. Runoff?
We changed it. Wasn't there a runoff? No, December or January of 22, January of 23.
21.
November 2023, March 2024, out January.
November 22 hours, if you give me just a second.
Okay, great. Board members, feel free to jump, interject here. I think maybe we could just break it down by each one. We can kind of talk about each one individually. With that being said, if we're worried about cumulative, is the tennis center a necessary location? Is the question posed.
How many voters are there?
Well, it's early voting, so if I live by the mall, I could go to the tennis center if I wanted to.
How many people live there?
So
It
tennis,
gets a lot of traffic.
It does? Oh, really? Okay.
so the graph here, out of all these different locations from 2018 to 2023, the black is tennis center, so it's third. Virginia was third in terms of,
Oh,
well, that,
Turnout.
there we go. Never mind.
right? So in terms of, as percent of total advance in person voting, it was tennis center, third highest. Yeah, tennis center looked like third highest, page 323, so. Oh, I'm sorry. Number one, library. Number two, the main office, the board office.
Where's the cooperative extension fall on that?
Fourth in that one.
Or sort of how many total in that one?
I kept up with 9 because City Hall was on there for one of the elections, but, cooperative extension came in fourth, at least from the graph that I have.
So if we were gonna change anything, and we could look at these graphs that we have, but we have two sources right here that probably off the top of their heads can answer these questions. Because they've got the numbers in their heads, I know, because I've heard them.
Did you make that chart?
That was for the big discussion we had about polling locations. I believe.
Oh, years ago.
Mhm.
Oh. Years. Talked about this for years.
If we were gonna adjust something, I would like to know what Lisa and what the director would suggest, and then we can discuss what they suggest. That would be my time.
I like what Charlotte's proposed because we both worked on it together to give you that proposal. I think it gives you what we feel like you desire for the community, which is a 7 to 7 opportunity for all 3 weeks, but it doesn't inconvenience the other locations that we're using. And for staffing issues, it's only one location that I have to find people who can do shift work because I can't ask someone to work 7 to 7 for 3 weeks in a row. So I can find enough people to do one location like that, because that's double the amount of people that it will take to staff it. I can do that in one location, so I feel like that's doable. Where the others might be more iffy, trying to find double the amount of people to work there.
That's not something you would get off your chart.
Right.
That's information that the public needs to know, because when you look at a chart, well, it looks like we could just Sam, we could drive to Arizona and just go straight there. And Sam says, no, you gotta take into consideration mountains and rivers and bridges and traffic. And Lisa and the director understand bridges and traffic and different things that we don't know.
If you wanted to offer additional, I mean, and this is me saying that, I haven't said this to Charlotte, I would add the 2 hours at, PGA in the morning.
I wanted to recognize this friend.
I'm sitting here thinking, and that most people at work by 9 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, voting is more or less, for me, convenience for the people that are voting. Whereas there can be as many people voting as possible. So I would even be in tune with perhaps dropping back to 8 o'clock rather than 7 o'clock. And you would capture some of those people that, maybe that, had to be at work at 8:30. But it's, when I look down here, I see all these 9 o'clocks. And we have to think about, does that align with the workforce in Athens? I think that should have been the main thing that we looked at, whether that time aligns with when people are actually going to work in Athens.
I think
Go to the office.
I believe the director touched on that one point,
Okay.
the thinking on that. Do you want to?
Yeah. And Lisa will have to help me. I know we could get access at 9 o'clock, and that would mean, them having staff, the locations having staff there as early as 8 to let us in. But if we're there at 8, then they will have to be there at 7. So I'm going. Please.
I mean,
I thought this one was 8.
the first day they show up an hour early.
No, sorry, I thought
Yeah,
the
that is,
election code is 8 AM to 5 PM, doesn't it say?
The hours of operation for the office. So, yeah. So we had the 8 to 5 because when you're in the office, it's the hours of operation for the office.
Okay.
So,
Um,
I mean, hopefully, Ms. Willow, the time frame before people go to work would be addressed by the office, and then after work by the office as well.
Let Willow respond.
It's so tight at the office. The parking is horrendous. You don't have any covering, and people have to stand outside. The London House is a much better place. You know, if I had to vote or suggest, I would suggest, because I'm always thinking about the people and what would be convenient for them, what would be their comfort zone. And I feel like we need to stretch ourselves as much as we can to be able to help the public get to the polls, you know, when it's available for them, like working people. Just my opinion.
I wanted to ask one specific question about Linden House. Is it the Linden House staff that are not available to open the door for us? I feel like that's an easily overcome obstacle. Key along, working with the manager's office perhaps.
When a facility tells you it's untenable for them, then you have to kind of go with that if you want to come back again.
I've now been on this board for 4 years and I've heard that I approach life a little bit differently than that. Our duty is to provide access for voting. So I'd like to ask some additional questions with the manager's office. Is there anything we can do to get that building open earlier?
Well, I would like to ask staff, so how did y'all make contact and like what information did you get from them?
so we contacted the, person at the Linden House,
Yeah.
and they contacted their director, and the director and I had a conversation. And, I mean, it was simply stated that there's a lot of heartburn about this.
Okay.
And I took it from there and I said, well, can you give us, you know, this? And it was, yes, we can give you that, but we can't give you 3 weeks. So,
And so, based on that conversation, did it seem like the heartburn was about the duration of early voting? Or is it more particular, the early hour or the extension of the hours? So, because right now we have Linden 9 to 5, whereas we would have preferred to do 7 to 7 at a core location. So did he give you a sense on if it was?
I'd like to add one more question. One more question to that too. Is it the concern of having a constant flow of the public coming through?
I mean, certainly with any of our facilities, when we do early voting, it's a change to operations. And so the election staff works very hard with our facilities teams and others to try to minimize that. And we, as a government, think it's an important service and right. So I'd be happy to make a call. I think the question there is, what I'm hearing is leisure services can't commit to open the building. And so if you all felt like you needed to go another direction, I probably would at least want to make a few calls. Certainly we can turn over a few rocks and stones to figure out how to open the building. I will also note Linden's a little unique because it has a fairly valuable inventory, so they're guarded with who has access to those things.
Yes.
Understandable.
If you all deem it necessary, we'll figure it out.
I think there may be somewhat of a consensus on that. I don't want to speak for and but I feel that it's necessary. It's given, and going back to the original plan of making Linden House the main location with more booths and more parking, yes.
So I wanted to frame this around what's possible. In terms of the locations that are available out there. Am I correct that Miriam Moore has confirmed that it is possible for them to accommodate 7 AM? Possible, okay? UGA has confirmed that at least for those 3 dates, possible 7 AM, okay? Linden House, we're hearing that it's possible. The tennis center, have we heard firmly either way from them about whether it's possible? I mean, to the same extent that what we heard about any facility, but from what they told us. Not preferred?
They're the same staff.
Oh, I see. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what you got to say. Got it. So they are as possible as Linden House. Understood. And the library, have we heard from them whether 7 AM would be possible?
One Sunday, but
It,
it was certain days. that-
it was that the director was finding that it would be extreme hardship on her staff and they had rather not if they could make the decision.
Got it. All right. Okay, understood. I mean, again, I'm still recapping.
The library does close at 9, it's regular business, so.
As far as PM closing.
PM.
Right, understood.
PM.
But again, just confirming what we've heard before. Did I hear that Linden House last time said that they are not available for a certain part of the 3 weeks? Somebody was unavailable on Tuesdays or something? They had a commitment.
No, there's only one day where there's an evening event.
There we go. So they're not blanket available, even if we were to work out the opening thing.
Right.
There's that one
There's
day.
one day that we could not be there.
Okay, which is not a deal breaker. Okay, so then
I think it's the 17th.
we could. Okay, so then just in terms of what's possible, they're all possible. Okay, good to know. Wonderful. That's good to know. I thought there was gonna be one we could just weed out because it's not gonna work. Okay. I'm trying, like we always do, we're trying to balance, right? Trying to help all the people we can, as always, which is very important. So I like that I'm hearing that it's possible that we can, like Director Tosby said, we can give the voters somewhere they can vote at 7 AM every day of advanced voting. It sounds like every weekday anyway. They have 24-hour voting, of course, because of advanced or absentee balloting. I'd really like to try and do 7 AM to 7 PM somewhere for the 3 weeks. As long as we can get that, like as a starting point, I'm encouraged by that. Is there
I feel like
consensus there?
that's already.
That's already there.
That's the start.
That's what they're recommending. Got
That's
it.
the
Okay.
starting line.
That's true though? Is that true? That's the office or Linden House, 7 AM, 7 PM?
The office.
The office, but then there's concerns about space and things like that. So then to try and balance the concerns of space and parking, wouldn't Linden House, if we could do 7 AM, 7 PM, wouldn't that help us?
Perfect.
Why they'd be the next place for that. So that's kind of where I'm focusing now, to get a place that is comfortably spacious enough parking wise, 7 AM, 7 PM. But that's why I'm at.
That's your wish list.
That's what I'm going for first, right? That's what some people say, big rock, that's the big rock in the jar.
I think we have to really consider who's going to allow us. I mean, I'm not somebody that they turn over a rock. But we have to consider if we burn one of these bridges, then what are we gonna do next election? We can't anger these people and try to force ourselves in on their doors.
We'll figure out how to cross the bridge when we get to the next election.
And I don't think it will go that far because we are all up under the heading of Athens-Clarke County. So we should try to cooperate with each other, even if it pushes us out of our limit or out of our comfort zone. You know, if even us, the board, whatever we can do, you know, even if some stuff pushes us out of our comfort zone, I feel like sometimes it's the right thing to do. So I think that since these places are under the behest of Athens-Clarke County government, someone should be able to speak to that.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. For the sake of moving forward, let's see what the assistant manager can do as far as making some phone calls for Linden House. If we can make that happen, I think that would satisfy a lot of the concerns. One note, I took a few notes during public comment regarding UGA. I believe the request was for the late day to be on the 29th, which is not a Wednesday late day blanket. Board members, do you mind if we?
I didn't hear that though. I heard that the later was not, I'm sorry.
Well, my question is, board members, are you okay with us, addressing the two representatives from the student body? Ask this specific question regarding,
I think that would fall in the purview of actually what we're doing anyways. We're here to decide.
yeah,
If we can, move it back. So they just happen to bring that before us, which is on the agenda anyway, so I don't see anything.
we need to suspend rules to recognize someone in the audience and.
Yes. I would think we need not. We're 77.
On the 29th is what I. Okay, that's fine. Let's do it. Works for me. Okay, never mind, moving on. Okay. So UGA, I think we're all, that works. Then house seems like a maybe. Just trying to check these off as we go here.
It's a bunch of pieces. It's a bunch of pieces.
Yeah, we'll put the puzzle back together at the end here. Let's talk about Miriam Moore. As I opened with, doing that third week, 7 to 7 is my wish. With this, because, would you explain Friday at 5 why it wouldn't be 7?
Yes, so we would prefer that we end at 5 o'clock on Friday being the last day because of the last things that what we refer to as post-advanced voting, the things that have to be done. That's collecting, pulling down all of the equipment, getting everything ready to be brought over to this office.
And there's like certain reports you have to upload to the Secretary of State, so
Yes.
the data is all ready for election day.
For us to do our bulk upload on Saturday.
Okay. So anyway, speaking specifically to Mary Moore, floor is open for discussion on my proposal of 7 to 7 for that third week. Except for the Friday, but.
I think, I just wanted to I want to just check in, because that is not what I heard staff recommend in terms of out of the gate. I'd be curious to know feasibility.
Well, staff is said, Charlotte just said a moment ago, that Mary Moore is available and willing, sorry,
Correct, clarify.
the facility.
Tell people like it for our staff, because I'd heard, and I might have misunderstood, I heard that we're confident that we have staff to do split shifts at one location, 7 to 7. But I wasn't sure if that was the same confidence for other locations. Is there confidence there's not the staff out there, or we're not?
No, we've been able to pull a rabbit out of our hat every time. But I don't know. I can't promise you. We're getting through as many of the applications for new poll workers as we can. But I don't anticipate hiring more than 40 to 50 people. And not all of those people can work advanced voting. They're expecting to work election day. And I've already tapped all of our workers to staff all of the locations that we recommended. So I'm not sure. That's all I can say. I know I can do it for one.
That's, for my part, I hear that concern, and I know we've done this before, we've pulled a rabbit out of the hat before. I'm not saying no to it, I want to tread lightly with that.
I have full confidence in staff that they can make it happen.
I agree.
Ms. Till,
Whatever y'all decide.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so there's been.
You got
We
me.
have the best.
Y'all shouldn't have been performing those miracles.
Bar too high. Let's, move on then. So, okay. ACC library, sounds like that one's a little more challenging to do, extended hours.
I forgot. So Miriam Moore, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday, 7 a.m. to
5 p.m.
Right, and we'll before we make the motion, we'll make sure we spell this all out
Okay.
again and clarify and make sure we're voting on the right thing. I think, Mr. Chair, look at, he's got a little table down there. ACC library, as I was saying, it seems like that's more of a challenge to go extended hours. In my perfect world, I hear the early morning thing, that's difficult, but the library is open until 9 normally. So I don't know that it's a burden on our election staff, but not necessarily the library facility. And please fact check me if I'm wrong about the library's hours.
It was the library staff. I don't know how they do that, who's responsible for what, and how many people are there until 9, I don't know.
Yeah, I know that the library has private security too, up until that time, because I have been there in the evenings. Various meetings and stuff. Ms. Swilla, do you have any comments about that one?
No, well, honestly, for me, the library is one of my more or less least concerned because I feel like people are more mobile. And are more apt to adapt to what is presented to them than some of the other, precincts.
Okay.
So,
So if I'm hearing you correctly, as presented, you're okay with? Okay. I feel differently, but that's okay. Ms. Till or Mr. Shirley, want to speak to the library?
I think what the facts are that the library is second only to the main office. So to me, it seems like blanket statement, the more hours, the better. We'll get the most bang for our buck. I'm sorry. We'll get the most voters per in hour and dollar invested. Invested at the library more so than other locations. In general.
Yeah,
Generally speaking.
yeah.
I could see that.
Okay. Final, well, no, we have two more, ACC Cooperative Extension Office and Tennis Center, kind of put those together. I feel like that's a fair frame there. Was,
Keeping them the way they are, you mean?
yeah,
Yes, I agree. The numbers show that they're
I
there.
think that that's, yeah. So you're building a little charter.
And I want,
I'm not sure that I wholly captured everything correctly.
that's what I'm trying to go for here. Okay.
You want 7 to 7 at the library, both weeks that the library is open? Just remember, it's open 2, not 1.
Let's,
What?
it's a library too?
Yes.
Oh, missed that part.
That's where a lot of our additional hours are coming from.
I was proposing week 3 only for me to be consistent with Mary Moore.
So 7 a.m., 7 p.m. last week. So. Gotcha.
Just keeping those consistent with. Because it's easy to say library, you know, when you're communicating to folks out in the community.
Yes, I feel more strongly about the earlier and later time than the additional days. If we had to choose between the two, I'd sooner go week 3 only for library 7 to 7 than 2 weeks of library 9 to 5, if that's the two options.
That, I think that's a fair accommodation too. And
I agree.
does that make a difference in your world?
What?
So he feels more strongly to have only week 3 at the library from 7 to 7 rather than 2 weeks from 9 to 5.
It probably doesn't make any difference. So I was just doing the math, and to do all the ones you're talking about, the additional hours, to offer shifts for the employees, for the workers, so that they don't get exhausted, you're looking at a minimum of 64 people that I need to get. And that's if everyone wanted to work every single day across that week, and that never happens. So I'm probably looking at more like I need 75 more people.
Is the application still open?
It's not, the application is open till the end of the month. The problem is more doing all of the interviews and getting everybody through the hiring process. And we're moving as fast as we can. And so far, I'm only looking at, I'm pretty sure we're only gonna get about 40 people through the hiring process.
Is the E-Verify and all that other stuff you have to.
And I gotta get them through before training starts, which starts on September 9th.
Wow. So, okay. I'm sorry, what?
And so then to pick up at that, then the numbers you just were calculating with, what was that going on? Which ones were?
Going, I was writing down what you said. So UGA, which currently has a staff of 8 people minimum each day. Miriam Moore, staff of 8, Linden House, staff of 12, library staff of 12.
Now, let me ask you this, dude. Can you move people midday? Your clerks, not your managers and stuff.
Well, what do you
Let's see.
mean? Because if I move them from one place to another, they're still working 12-hour days.
So the code says, what is it, minimum of 3 people? Okay, so what if we're at UGA and this is just kind of dead
Uh-huh.
and the library is being slammed? Can you send 2 people up to the
I
library?
wouldn't want to, because if I move them, then what if UGA gets slammed?
Well, there's whole.
I mean,
filled with what ifs, so I mean.
I wouldn't want to move them because of that. I'd want to be prepared at each location for the max number of people that could come.
Now, taking the 8 worker scenario, is that 2 on pull pads? Like, how does that break down?
Okay?
Well, because.
I'm just, okay, yes, I know, I'm just trying to, I had to shift my brain to think about what you want.
Pinch point is the pull pads, and I'm just trying to think.
I'm trying to, we're providing a minimum of 4 pull pads at each location, so I've got 4 workers at the pull pads and then the other 4 to do the other tasks. At the library and Linden House, of course, that's different because there's more, it's gonna be busier, there's more machines provided. I think we've got 5 or 6 pull pads going out.
So is that taking into consideration? So far, we've sort of been glomming onto the possibility of library 7 to 7, third week. Tate Center 7 to 7, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the third week. We've heard suggestion for a request for 5 PM ending on the last day, right, the last Friday at 5 PM. And I'm trying to think from week 3, everywhere. Now, Extension and Tennis Center, we see the numbers, we should keep them open. But we're keeping 9 to 5, or we wanting, so 9 to 5 is what we're looking at for those? Is that kind of what the consensus is right now? Not a motion,
I believe so, yes.
okay? Miriam Moore,
And that's just week 3.
week 3 only. What do
Well,
we, have we?
with the Saturday
Haven't-
before.
Right, I haven't got Saturdays yet, I'm just thinking week 3,
Okay.
in my mind. Weekdays,
7 to 7.
7 to 7, is that what we're, okay, all right? So again, was the 5 PM cutoff on Friday. Now, I have a question about the elections office. If we use Linden House as a voting location, must the elections office still be a voting location? Is it possible for us to not use that as a location at all, to fully, like, to completely accommodate the concerns about space? If we have a location nearby, like Linden House, or must we keep the main office open for people who want to vote?
We don't have to keep the main one, just open. It's about moving the Dropbox.
That's right, that was it, that's what I was trying, that's it, okay, so Dropbox. Oh, there's so many moving pieces here, all right, okay. Doesn't have to be both. We're gonna wait about Linden House,
And if Linden House doesn't agree to the 3 weeks
right,
of 7
Right.
to 7.
that's right, because, I know there's that component too. So advanced voting turnout,
Maybe agree to 1 week of 7 to 7. And if they
Right.
don't, then, yeah, I would say
Right.
yes.
first week in 2022, low turnout than usual, but we had, what, 600 people a day the first week at the board office downtown? How do we, do we do both board office and Linden House, or do we not do voting at the board office if we can do Linden House? If they say they can do 7 to 7, would y'all want to keep the board office, the main office open for voting? Okay,
One at a time, both one and staff.
That's right, okay, good.
Everything else.
I
okay,
mean, the clerks will still be in the window for someone to hand their ballot or deal with the whatever, change of address.
Right.
Some type of situation and.
Open for business.
It'll be open for business as usual, but not voting.
Okay, and so they committed to, they already have confirmed the third week they can do 9 to 5?
They're committed for all 3 weeks, 8 to 5 is what they committed to.
Okay, so we at least have that much.
But we changed it to 9 just so it'll be consistent across the board.
Right. I see that. What about,
Oh, but if we don't open the office, it would go back to, well, then it would be 7, never mind. My brain's starting to.
right,
I know.
Mhm.
what about elections office the first 2 weeks, Lynn, not the third week?
Kind of confusing.
Seems
Yeah.
confusing.
You don't want to switch your rule on them.
True.
Yeah, you want.
I mean, I can see that thinking, line of thinking, but I feel like it's confusing.
Right, consistency is important. Okay, so then, what do you think about that? Consistency is important in this case? Understood. Okay.
Consistency in what?
Consistency, I'm sorry. I thought you were giving me a citizen. So in elections office and Linden House, rather than have 2 weeks of elections office and then 1 week of Linden House.
Remember the discussion we had, I don't know if it was the last election or the one before that, or the one before that, or the one before that, where the public said, please be consistent.
Right?
Give us something that we can deal with,
True.
but it looks like we're changing that.
So remembering that then, considering the throughput that we can handle at the elections office, the parking concerns, any public health concerns we might have, and consistency, better try and do Linden House the whole time, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I think that's,
So elections office, I'm just making sure. So elections office is out for weekdays. Is that what we're saying? We're suggesting that? Okay.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry.
Mr. Assistant Manager is recognized.
Can you remind me what we pay our poll workers generally?
$15.60 an hour for clerks, $17.94 at the top rate for managers. And for early voting, keep in mind, it's mostly staffed with managers and assistant managers who are making more than 17 an hour.
And so where you started here, you proposed 620 hours of early voting and tweaks and discussions are being made here. All I would ask is that we keep the cost of this in mind. So I went and looked at the elections budget, and I'm not sure, it would be probably the seasonal line item. So there's approximately $361,000 for part-time salary seasonal, which would be inclusive of any election, not just the general. So if there was a runoff or if we have special elections coming up that we know of.
June, we do have an election in June.
So just to kind of give you some context, if you average it out $16 an hour, it buys us about 22,000 hours of labor to support elections. If you were to only put that into the 620, you have a maximum of 36 people in the budget. And I heard Lisa speak to the number of people, a minimum of 8 people at a location, larger locations requiring more people. That doesn't mean that y'all can't make this decision, but I want you to know that if we chart a course that puts us over that path, then that's going to put before the commission a request from our contingency fund. And so I would just ask that you be very clear on what your motion is, and we'll include that in there, but.
Yeah, when we do arrive at a motion, it will be very clear. And what I'm imagining, he's building this table, might ask you to save it as a PDF and ask you to print it so that we can look at it rather than read 8 to 5 to 9 or whatever. So with that, the motion will be clear. I do want to comment that this board in the past has passed a resolution directing or requesting that the director ask the mayor and commission for additional funding. I know that the mayor and commission is in support generally of us providing as much access as possible. And I do recall a former assistant manager a few back saying that that person would go on the record saying that the hours are not going to be because of financial reasons.
No doubt. I just, if we dramatically scale it, start to get into two shifts, there are cost implications and,
And I understand that.
stewards of public funds, I just ask that we keep those in mind.
Yeah.
Does not mean that it should be the only decision factor.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying, so thank you for that reminder. As superintendent, our job is to provide the access and oversee the election piece of it, not manage the finances.
Sure.
Unfortunately, that's what the mayor and commissioners want. So with that said, let's get back to,
So how about week 3, 7 to 7, Linden House, 7 to 7, Miriam Moore, 7 to 7, library, with the exception of 5 p.m. cutoff on Friday. 7 to 7, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at Tate. 9 to 5, extension and tennis staff. Does that reflect what we kind of been
I
circling?
think
around?
so. We haven't talked about Sundays and Saturdays.
Right, I'm just saying so far, the weekdays.
I believe so, but again, I'd like to see it in writing before we, or
Okay,
did before.
okay,
Is that okay? You can quickly print something if he sends you a file when we're done.
I'll do my best.
All we can do.
all right,
Shall we talk about Saturdays?
sure.
Um,
The proposal is, as a starting point, 9 to 5 at elections office on the 19th and 26th, and Linden House.
so basically Linden House,
Right.
Yeah,
assuming,
let's just don't even put,
Yeah.
office in it
Right,
anymore.
yep, agreed.
I'm okay with what's in front of us with all the Saturdays.
That would be 9 to 5 at Linden House and
Yeah, so what we have is the 19th and the 26th at Linden House, 9 to 5. And then the other locations on the 26th, 9 to 5. 26, 9 to 5,
Library, Miriam Moore Extension, Tennis Center.
26, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, yes. Except for the tape, would not
Tape is
have
not.
that Saturday.
It is only those 3 days in week 3. Go ahead. That sounds good to me.
We're still, Ms. Willie, we
Remember y'all decide.
have a phone on Saturdays as well.
No, because you know, people don't have the tendency to get up early on Saturday morning. So 9 o'clock,
I got a
could
poor
have been 10 o'clock for me.
crawling on me at 7 in the morning on Saturday. Okay, so Sundays in this proposal, 12 to 3 on the 20th and the 27th for Linden House. I'm just reading as we go. It looks like that is the only proposed Sunday.
Linden House,
Am I missing one?
Actually, 20 and 27.
Am I missing one?
For Linden House.
through there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the only location proposed for Sunday.
Linden House.
That's what I think.
Okay. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? And I believe there was one public comment regarding the hours on Sunday. But, do the board members have a comment on that one?
You have any, statistics on, Sunny voting?
Spreadsheet I'm seeing from the general in 2022. I'm sorry.
Everyone, have you
I
copies?
sent it by email.
Oh, that's why I didn't print it.
It's in my stack of stuff from a year ago.
Wednesday, Saturday, where's the Sunday? Let's see. October 23rd, it was 369.
2022.
22, and then 313 on the next thing day. Okay, actually, well, while it's in my mind, could we go back to Saturday real quick?
Okay.
I just want to confirm with the UGA home games.
Hmm.
The Saturday, is UGA home on the 19th or the 26th of October?
There,
They're mandated. You have to.
they weren't doing anything the other 3 days.
UGA is at home on the 12th, away on the 19th. That answer your question?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Must have a
And then
bye.
they're off on the 26th. Oh, that's great. Then, never mind. Back to Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, so around 350-ish in 22. And it looks like we just did the one location. Does anyone recall the times?
I don't think we've ever done more than 12 to 4. I think that might have been the longest.
Yes, I believe you're right, we never go beyond 4 o'clock. Which I don't think it would be necessary to go beyond that either.
I think 11 to 3 is sufficient, or not 11 to 3, sorry, 12 to 3.
And that's 2 Sundays, not one.
I think, with the proper notification, I think that's fine.
Support that.
So,
Okay.
all right. Think just need to put it down, and then we can take a vote.
All right. While I'm getting this formatted.
Can I have one thing?
Yes.
It would make it easier to do if we didn't do the library with extended hours. That would be 12 to 20 less people that I have to come up with for the staff. And that would put me within a number that I think maybe I can reach. If you drop one of the, you don't want to drop the Linden House, but if you drop the library.
Extended hours.
Drop it or just reduce the hours back to
Put the, don't have the 7 to 7 at the library.
Hours that's on the sheet.
Well, with that, then, we'll just say we do week 2 and week 3.
with that.
Oh, okay.
What was that? That doesn't make a difference.
That doesn't make any difference. I mean.
Oh, because when you go to extended, you have to begin splitting shifts, you were saying, which doubles your staffing.
What you're actually saying now is if we keep the library as it is, that things will probably round out.
I mean, I feel more comfortable with trying to do that than to come up with enough people to staff 2 really large locations.
Yeah, that is a big thing. I was inclined to go along with the majority for the time change, but I had also mentioned the fact that I felt like the location of the library, and if this has worked out for us before, I don't have a problem with that.
I apologize, Ms. Member, would you recap that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was talking in his ear and
Okay, no problem. I was saying that, I don't have a real big problem with the library. If this is what we've done in the past, and they still were like number 2 or, yeah, so, and I don't feel like, of all the places, I don't feel like that opening it up at the library would make a huge difference.
opening, when you say opening up,
I
you
mean,
mean that-
backing up the time. Yeah.
I disagree, but I feel like I'll probably be outnumbered on that particular detail, so.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Um, was there anything was there language that we had to make a motion requiring about the Dropbox moving? Is that gonna be? Well, I'm getting this email drafted up, is that, because I'm gonna talk about it for instance.
To need to order Dropbox to be moved. Okay.
Yeah.
With that, I guess. Attorneys, did you hear what he just
We were
mentioned?
talking about it, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Different elections related question.
I waited until I thought there was a lull. and then I-
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently not, I'm
The
sorry.
question was, do we need to pass a motion to order the Dropbox be relocated to the main office, to the lobby house?
And I would think that you would, and I don't know. how do
It's
you-
not gonna hurt,
It's not gonna harm.
right?
That's what it said, because.
You're directing staff to do that.
Sure.
We know why. Calculate our now, I'm scared to do that. Initial state.
I mean, that isn't much of it. That's a good, get that.
Just to get it all
I did.
Still have about 15 people.
home. When is our last day? When's your last day?
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, they're hiring people, I keep getting the alerts, so they can. So, people. They interviewed today.
We need to.
Yeah, it's not.
Double check.
Totally right.
We're only.
Work, including.
Yeah.
So all those hours.
Wait for it.
I don't know what instant.
Let me double check that.
You go.
We're still.
Curious as shit.
Sorry.
Did you? Says they do
Because even though. Double check these. Well,
Okay, what are you doing?
sorry, sorry in advance.
I got
So,
you. This is sorry.
sorry in advance, yeah.
I know.
That's sort of the stack.
He's gonna walk it.
Oh,
She's actually basically.
Yeah.
Renee Seidman.
And just a reminder, the meeting is still on session.
Not sure.
Just a reminder, we're still in session. And just so the public knows, we're just making sure we've got this right when we make the motion, further discussion. Make sure all the numbers add up, everything's correct.
Can I ask a
Do it right
question?
the first time.
Because of Linden House, will they have to come back again and vote? Because you don't know for sure? Okay.
So Linden House is, if I understand that correctly, 2 weeks of 9 to 5 and 1 week of 7 to 7.
No.
No, one that was just passed around.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 weeks from 9 to 5.
I thought it was 7 to 7 the whole time. That's what we talked about.
Okay, yeah, that was different.
I mean, that's what was even presented. Well, assuming it was
Yeah.
at the main office.
Yeah, assuming the hours of the main office.
Okay, so,
And remember, there is that exception of the 1 day.
thank you. What is that date?
What day was?
I'm gonna go look at that right now.
On the 24th, there's a event they're hosting at 6 PM. It's a Thursday. That's what I found on the website.
Okay.
Remind me the space again, because, you know, they have multiple areas and venues there.
Okay. Well, to remind you of the space that we're gonna use,
So like, let me just,
we're using the meeting room and I don't know what they call it. I call it the hallway outside the meeting room and the big open area. That's what's the back of the building
this
to
is
me.
the door
Yeah.
with the little entrance that's to the gallery. Then there's that side room, the blue restrooms right here, there's kitchen.
We're in that room.
In the
And
morning,
then
walk
we'll
in the
have like access to this
Yeah.
little, this walkway right here.
The
Okay.
walkway and that entry,
So the voters
Room.
would not come through the front door.
No,
That was the exit.
but we're going to put signs to enter.
On this side,
Yes.
they call it the parlor or something, I feel like there's some kind of
Yeah.
network.
Because of the space back there, you have standing room for people,
Sure,
you know, lots of room.
and that leaves the rest of their facility relatively undisturbed. Aside from an occasional person. Ex-
10/17. Yeah, 10/17 is the day that we've been told we cannot be there past 5.
Can I be there past 5?
Mhm. We agreed on if we closed at 5, that it wouldn't interfere with what they were doing and we would, right.
Gotcha, okay. So, I'm glad I misunderstood. There's not a day they told us that we cannot, that they cannot open the doors for us. They don't have an event happening in the middle of what we want to vote for, right? Excellent. Okay. And as far as we know then, for that, the event you saw on the website, if it's at 6, we could be comfortably out of.
Part of her question, Shelby's question too, was would they be able to book the atrium gallery for rentals? So if we're there till, I don't know. If we're there,
I'm sorry.
her email stated, would it be a problem to book rentals after hours in our atrium gallery? But she's talking about after 5. So they're looking to still utilize the space in the evening.
I don't see why not. Cause if you're, and I think there's even a door from that side into that main space.
Maybe it's parking, maybe they think for an event and voting, they wouldn't have enough parking. I don't know what without talking, I don't know what her reasoning is.
So from what they've told us, sorry, yeah.
Before.
Yeah.
So on 10/17, do we have to clear from this room, break everything down?
It would just, no, they just, where the equipment would be locked, but they need the other spaces, the hallway and that atrium area, gallery area. Would be.
Different form and
So anything like signs or anything that we have posted out there have to be taken down and put back up.
that door won't be accessible. We're gonna be using this door and then that's gonna be the exit.
Oh,
We're
right.
using this.
There's a door, actually.
So then to try to reflect the corrections to what we have printed out before us. We've been talking about 7 to 7, all 3 weeks. But we four have been talking about 7 to 7 for all 3 weeks at Linden House, Monday through Friday. Is that correct so far?
That was my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, but that then bumps into two issues that I've heard then, because we need to be out of the way. We would not be able to use the space for voting past 5 PM on the 17th. And then the assistant manager pointed out that at least the thing that's happening on the 24th, is that right, an event at 5 PM,
Yeah, 6 p.m.
6 PM? Do we know, did they mention that at the time when they spoke with that?
That could be an atrium or.
Maybe something.
Yeah, so as best I can tell from the description, it's gonna be, they're having some stuff in that kind of main entry lobby to highlight part around VHS tapes, and then they're gonna do a screening inside the building. And so I mean, again, short answer is if you tell us to do it, we'll do it.
Yeah, regarding the 17th, I just don't understand how we couldn't work together with them to make sure that our lines are going the right way and that we're not obstructing there. So if we need to change our crowd management a little bit,
It was a large event that they had, I don't remember what it was, but when Charlotte and I met with them earlier this year, when we started talking about this with Dee Dee before she retired, she brought that event up and said, you know, this is the one thing that we can't move around or change, and we would need, you wouldn't be able to have anything here after 5 on that day.
is that event listed?
So they do private bookings. It very well could be an event that's, you know, the facility being rented for something, and that wouldn't show on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember what it was, but it was a rather large event that had been planned for a long time.
I'll just note, if y'all stuck with what you have printed here, I think it would work, which is 9 to 5 for 2 weeks, and then the advance or the extra hours on week 3. Otherwise, what I hear you saying is that you would probably try to laser out those dates where there's conflict, or option 3, stay the course and we pick up the pieces behind you. So I think that's ultimately the decision before you. I have communicated with our leisure services director, and whether it's them or some other department, we'll get the building open.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did you send a new version?
And just, on this, the 17th, thinking about the messaging, if this were to be the case. I think that there was a conversation months ago. I think we might want to follow up, get more information on the 17th.
The last email from the new interim director said, are we still good for the 17th? As we are clear that we're both, it was asking for agreement of what we had already decided on, just reiterating that that was still the case. That the 17th was off the table after 5.
So then,
We're gonna have lots of cars.
before I ask Ms. McGlone to print this out for us,
Okay.
to save you a trip in case there's one more thing to think, I currently have on here, the same thing you have in front of you, except Linden House is 7 to 7, Monday through Friday, the first 2 weeks. Thursday the 17th, 7 to 5, given the conflict that we've heard about. That's the only change that I've made to this version. Any other mistakes or other changes we wanted to make before we print this and look at it in front of us?
So look, so can you, 7 also?
That's true. I didn't know about that because the assistant manager had mentioned seeing an event on the 24th that was at 6, but because that was not mentioned to us, well, then again, we weren't asking about going late then. So for all we know, it could be an issue.
But if it's at 6 o'clock, then if there shouldn't be any more cars there than before, clearing out.
Yeah.
If we close at 5.
Yeah, close at 5 and it would be like voters are coming in, with cars and vehicles.
Right.
Yeah, so with it being on a Thursday. And let's assume it's a private event. I'm assuming it's not a wedding or something, like it's Thursday. So. I'm sorry, what? You get married on a Thursday? Okay, yeah, if you're in Vegas, you go see Elvis, doesn't matter the day of the week.
It's cheaper.
It is. Then you get a peanut butter sandwich when you're done. I'm just, my hesitation on this 17 is one, I feel like we would need to have one more conversation with them to get more information. Perhaps the client is flexible, perhaps the client could be moved somewhere else in Athens. I mean, there are options. And the reason why I say that is I am concerned with the messaging on how you would communicate. Oh, well, this just is one day, we have to close at 5 because there's an event, and you can go over to the Mary Moore Center if you want to vote right now. No, that wouldn't even be.
Buy a new car, will you go with me?
Okay, I got you. We'll get you the best deal, best version.
To address your concern, are we, y'all were talking about this over there, I didn't hear, I'm sorry. Are we probably going to need to reconvene anyway, once we hear about Linden House? Was there, oh, that's right, that's what I missed.
Yeah, it's already in work.
Okay. Okay, see.
I like to, I'm like gambling man. I'm optimistic that a conversation with the client, I guess for lack of a better word, on the 17th could be moved or work with.
Are you volunteering?
I feel like that's a conversation we might want staff to have.
Every time it lasts really quickly, I would expect we have a contract, right?
Yes,
Then,
we probably do.
yeah, so it'd be a question of whether we have the right permit, which maybe we do, but I just.
And that thought was in my head. Who has, if you sign it, is it yours for good, or can the county say, we need to move you?
Right, and I guess the question is like, if it is someone's wedding or something like that, I think we just need to know more. before we
What
can-
the intention is.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, talking about weddings, like, I'm more sympathetic to that conflict rather than it's a meeting of some group talking about whatever.
Yeah, and I want to add to, because we had, when we first started talking about going to Linden House, we were told about this particular date. When the new director come on the scene, she reiterated the importance of us keeping that date in mind. So I would like to recommend or suggest that we not have it from 7 to 7, the first week at Linden House, but add it the second week, third week. And that helps with communication, that the first week it ends at 5 o'clock each day. That way it's, it's precise, concise, and as well, it's keeping in mind what's been asked of us by the facilities. What we don't want to happen is we don't want to mess up the relationship that we already have where we're allowed to go to the Linden House. I would like for us to be able to continue using that, and that when we ask in 2026, they're not already, well, I don't know if we want to do it this time, because the last time we told y'all this and you just ignored it. Let's keep a good relationship. And,
Well-
and I'm saying between staff and staff.
The board ignored it. If that's the case, not you.
And you can talk about us as much as you.
Yeah, throw me under the bus, whatever.
Well,
Survive.
I mean, I think that Charlotte's proposal on week 1 is the safest option, because the last, if we start to laser out days preemptively,
You can.
what happens when I show up to vote? Am I gonna stop at the VHS event, or am I gonna drop it on somebody's wedding? I think it creates opportunity for confusion.
I hear you. But if we can find another place for those hours during that first week, I feel like it's just critical that we provide that 7 to 7 some way, somehow for the 3 weeks continuously,
so the first week.
for the first week.
There's
Well,
nowhere else open the first week.
I mean,
That's a one and only.
That'd be a big shift. Like a lot of bigger ones. If you're, I hear what you're saying, consistently, definitely, but if you're talking whole hog, if we can get 7 to 7 somewhere the whole time, here you go. Location wise, downtown central. I mean, looking at other locations, we haven't even talked about the possibility of the place to spend the day.
Charlotte,
That's not good.
we do the office the first week,
Sure.
7 to 7. and
We're
Lindenhouse.
back up to the staff numbers again.
Right.
You're in every,
And
okay.
you're back up with the subject and total confusion.
Consistency.
My concern is access.
Yeah.
For the voters.
Yeah, but you're not helping them out if you're putting them here one week and putting them over here another week. You know?
Well, you can only vote once, so only one person would go.
Well, what I'm saying is that anytime you disrupt, when you're voting, anytime you disrupt, it's kind of like when we changed the precinct around. You know, we had to have time for people to get it in their mind that this is where they are. And I think that with no matter how much advertising you get out, if you're gonna have it down here one week, over here 2 weeks, you know, public is really smart, but, you know, people kind of like creatures of habit, because they've been going down there anyway, and I promise you, the second and third week, y'all gonna be inundated with people knocking on the door. Oh, I know we're supposed to vote down here this week. Oh, no, you need to go to the London House. I'm telling you, human nature.
Also, if you change that, would you still do the drop box at Linden House?
We would have to move it that second week if the office goes down.
Mr. Chair, I hear you, but I mean, if we have to wait at 2, consistency or access, I prefer consistency of access versus at one location versus having straddling 2 locations and having a staffing issue there. I don't like that.
How about this? Linden House, the first week, 7 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Oh, back them up in the name of consistency?
In the name of consistency, the first week, 7 to 5, then we can expand 7 to 7.
The next 2 weeks.
And that takes care of the conflict. Not ideal, but you know, this democracy, and we all have to work together, come to a consensus here. What's everyone think of that?
I love the staff. They're planning on coming. Well,
I'm still, I'm trying to give you equal time.
I'm listening.
I'm okay with that, Ms. Fambro.
I am too, because my mind jumped to 8 to 5, but 7 to 5 is 8. All right.
All right, so let me, given that we have a new consensus, let me get this exported and sent over to Ms. McLawn and ask her to work on that, please. It's not there yet.
Okay,
While she is making that happen for us, it's being,
only 1 additional hour would they would work.
All right.
or just substance.
You should skip one of this.
Okay.
That'll
Say-
take 2 seconds.
I've told them. they-
Put version 4 in it.
Ms. McGlon, I believe it's in your inbox.
If you don't, I just have sent it. So, thank you very much.
Have an extra copy.
Okay. She's gonna buy you a pair of shoes.
I'll take it. You don't have about shoes.
Oh, no.
Just been sleeping at the level, especially.
14.
That's not true. 14.
13. Small players, team 60. My flight to Paris, there was, the US 3-on-3 team was on our flight. They were all about as tall as me, so they were pretty short for basketball players.
You know, he's gone.
Okay, thank you so much.
We'll read the ring. Lisa, did you grab a copy of yourself?
No, I've been making notes.
Who knows?
Thank you.
Okay. Everyone take a moment to. If that's your thing, then we can wait for that too. After everyone's had a chance to review, I'll open the floor for a motion to accept this. We'll read it before we take the final vote.
Are you keeping the library at 7 AM to 7 PM?
We're doing fine. Well, we can change it in ink.
And I'll be sure an electronic version is sent.
I mean, let's vote now.
So, yeah, because it says 9.
All right,
I
Mr. Chair, just to
have
get.
one more piece of input.
Okay.
Do you want to do, since the students asked for 7 to 5 at the Tate Center
Oh, right.
instead of 7 to 7?
Gives you 8 hours somewhere else, I guess. What?
Okay,
We're count hours over here, so.
And,
I think that's what we said originally, 75.
It's okay.
2 hours ago.
Okay. Were there any,
and then the library is.
9 to 5,
9 to 5.
Except for.
the Wednesday, the 30th.
Wednesday.
the original extended hours day?
Oh,
Wait, what?
yeah, wait.
Oh, okay, well then,
So then that's wrong too.
yeah, I'll fix that right now. I had kind of thrown by the wayside. I'm sorry, I had kind of stopped thinking about the original Wednesday, the 30th across the board, late day, in favor of late days every day at Linden House. So I for one can let that go. We want to keep, okay,
This is, I've captured what we made a mistake on here.
to get the discussion going, I'm not wanting to close discussion, but to open discussion. Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt as our advanced voting locations, times and dates, the proposal that's in front of us with the changes of returning to 7 PM extended hours on Wednesday, October the 30th,
Does that match?
returning the library to 9 AM to 5 PM each of those days that it's open. And the Tate Center only being open until 5 PM. That's a lot, but just to kind of get us going.
I mean,
So
can a motion read exhibit A or something to that effect?
I mean, certainly written resolutions commonly do.
So I don't think a motion needs to spell out every
As
single.
long as we're very clear what exhibit A is. So,
Right.
Right,
for instance, I know there's like multiple versions floating around. I think I
Yeah.
would specifically
What's-
identify something as exhibit A
okay.
and attach to the minutes.
Right.
Yes, 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 of course.
So then I move that we adopt exhibit A as our advanced voting location, times and dates
for the November general election. And then exhibit A is gonna be what you have, this is gonna be the reference made to it.
You spell out the corrections again so we can be real
So,
clear.
right, and I'll have a printed copy coming out to us with the corrections of, based on what you have in front of you, the library, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tate Center only until 5 p.m.
But on that Wednesday, is it gonna be 7 to 7?
And then Wednesday the 30th,
Oh, she's talking about the Tate Center, 7 to 7.
that's a good question. I am. I can go with it.
Say it 7.
7 to everybody, that's just consistency. All right, so then it'll be what you have in front of you with the following changes. The library, 9 to 5. Except I'm getting there, 9 to 5, the Tate Center, 7 to 5. Everybody on the 30th, 7 to 5. No. Everybody on the 30th until 7 p.m. There, is that what I should say?
Everybody until 7.
Until 7 p.m., everybody on the 30th. We'll clean that up, I promise you.
So that's your motion. I don't think we ever had a proper second.
Does that include, the Wednesday for Tate Center 2, 7 to 7, or just straight Tate Center 7 to
Let's-
5?
I would like.
Get a second and then let's go to discussion so we do
Okay.
this correctly.
Okay. I
Go
said,
ahead. You have a second. Okay, now you're recognized for discussion.
yeah, my question was, that Wednesday, 30th, does the Tate Center remain 7 to 5 or is it 7 to 7?
The director is suggesting 7 to 7 for consistency.
The library is 9 to 5, all of those days, except to 7 p.m. on Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, correct. 7 to 5, Tate Center, 7.
Oh, I just realized something you don't have.
Okay.
Library's open 2 weeks, not 1.
Okay.
Unless you want to drop back, can only have the library open 1.
No, now.
When we were thinking 9 to
It
7
was
p.m.
1 week because you know who just a minute ago said, pass it. It was 1 week.
You know who?
Once upon a time when it was 7 p.m., I was.
What's version 2? This is,
That's not what y'all said.
we haven't voted yet.
I mean, you're adding one of the reasons, let me just say this, one of the reasons we added the second week at the library was because we were trying to allow for more voting. But you've added enough additional hours that maybe we don't need the library open for 2 weeks.
Feel like, doesn't the data show the library is pretty popular?
It's popular, but I mean, it's just a thought.
So we're up to 454 total hours now?
No, I don't think, did you change that?
88 is what I had, with adding the second week at the library. If we add it back.
It'll be 488 with the second week.
Mhm.
How does that sound?
It was 6:20 before, right? The initial.
How do we go down? Where'd you?
Because of the office.
Oh, the office.
Yeah, it was taken off.
That's all. Okay.
So it's library second week? Or no? I am satisfied with that third week having so many early and late hours that I am more sensitive now to the considerations about staffing.
I'll tell you one thing, if we take away that second week at the library, that frees those people up who were gonna work at the library to go work some of these shifts that now have to be staffed. That are gonna need additional managers, and I gotta find them somewhere.
Be good.
Leave it away 1 week.
Okay.
Let's not stress the standard any more than we have to.
Okay, so. Ms. Till, I heard what you said, so I'm not ignoring what you said.
But
What was your motion? Did your motion include that with or without?
My motion was admittedly just to try and get things going, so it's
Okay.
changed because of what
We
we.
want to just withdraw it, we can start over?
I withdraw my motion.
Okay.
I
I would like to see that second week in the library.
So- may I back up for a second? Consensus, we have consensus on at least, we'll get to the rest of it later, at least what I just said, right? Wednesday will be till 7 p.m. across the board. Tate Center, otherwise until five P M. Library, opening at nine A M. Going to five P M, week three only at least week three. Have I got that right so far? We have consensus there?
I believe so.
Okay. Then that I would propose naming Exhibit A, and I would, move that we adopt that as our advanced voting time, locations, and dates for the November 2024 tournament.
Okay.
So I withdraw what you had seconded before we stand up. In case that.
I know, I'm gonna read it. And our other count, was that second week at the library included in the hour?
It is not in the one before you right now.
The one labeled version 4.
Yeah, the second week only has Linden House open for those 12-hour days.
Mm-hmm. That's the total you just gave me, yeah. Including 2 weeks, it would be 488.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I'm mistaken.
We added the second week, minutes for 88 people.
It was 454 with 1 week at the library, and my understanding was that if you added the second week, it would be 488, but that doesn't kind of seem.
So I'm getting 488 if we add the second week library, yes. With so that version 4 is now wildly out of date. So making the changes for the Wednesday late night correction and the Page Center ooching it up in the library, all in 488. Take it until I make it.
Okay. So the version, for your motion does not include the second week at the library. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I've just emailed a visualization of that to Ms. McLaughlin.
Do you want me to go print that too?
Not yet, I'm gonna.
Hold on.
Okay, there we go. I'd be curious to know if we're at least good with that much. Are there any other,
I think that
at least that much?
is consensus.
Okay.
At minimum.
Okay.
I have one other question. Well, you got those numbers for the library, was that the 2 weeks, our previous, not what you're working with now, but on the sheet, if you had
The first one.
2022, or,
The green one?
that was that 2 weeks?
This was, the library was, I'm thinking for 2022 was open Saturday and then week three. The only location open week two, the full week, was the board office for November general election. There's no voting on the 14th, is that right? Okay, that's an error too, I'm sorry. For the holiday.
Well, there we go. So it's our week 2, of course. I feel like I'm gonna be outvoted on this, but maybe we should take a little straw poll on that second week. I'm in favor of it.
For the library? I can make my peace with not having it. I'm always for all more locations, more hours, but we have so much more that we're offering people with different times and everything. I'm satisfied. But
Yeah, after I got the statistics from the last time, I can be at peace with 1 week. If it had been 2 weeks, then I probably would have gone the other direction.
Okay, well, looks like I'm outvoting. So, let's send it to the prayer.
take a final look at it.
You know, who's better?
It's gonna be called exhibit A. In the hopes that it's gonna be what gets voted on. But of course, we can make changes. We have 24 more, we have 25 more that we can use.
Then we can start doubling up.
Until then, just ends.
The public is the real champion here. staying with us.
We were fine with Saturday and Sunday the way it is on the sheet. We didn't discuss any changes with those. That's okay? Okay.
Let the record reflect that I want week 2 of the library.
Send it. Let's move on. You wouldn't mind.
It is, yep, okay, I'll go do it.
Sorry, was there?
Nope, no, I'm keeping my mouth shut. Looks good.
She wants week 2 of the library, I think.
Recommendation of staff.
They would be proud, yeah.
Yeah. Possible motion.
That handwriting smells like a margarita over here.
It does. It's so strong. No. Michael, tell me to take a shot.
Bring the blood pressure down a little.
This is what we do when they go have sex, Andrew.
Yes, Mark, Andrew, I was thinking about that myself tonight. I was like, I didn't even smell.
There's never snacks again.
That's what that's what we talked about, and I thought there was a lull. I figured, okay, yeah, okay. Good. Sherry, thank you, those cookies are always so good.
Yeah, right.
Send them to us in the office. Right.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna do that sugar.
It's our day, and that's starting. I'll go on it. Go to disposals.
Yeah, that's why I put the white cover on.
Well, I need to do Sherry a favor.
I do that.
Come on. Get my mouth.
I think so.
I think like this fella, I got started.
But I have my phone Sunday.
There's, I think, it's arguably the career side, because that has the machines and the like starter.
I'm just trying. That's that for my cookie.
Oh.
Yeah, they will sell.
Right?
I think that's how it works.
There you go.
Otherwise engaged.
That's right. No, you should sign it that. Let the court.
So there's one more cookie. Would you like it?
No, I think if you.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing what you think is better.
How did this go up?
What?
You.
458,
Let it dry, let it be right.
454.
I went on 488. And he told us with that, it was
With what you
488.
marked in pen, it was 488, John.
So it actually went down.
Well, because we got rid of that Monday the 14th.
Yes.
Which was never in play anyway.
Right.
Scam. Yeah, floor is open for a motion.
I move that we adopt Exhibit A as our advanced voting locations, times, and dates for the November 2024 general election.
All those in favor?
Whoa. Shall I read it just to make sure? Sanity check? I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry, I know, I want to go home too, but, so, what this has on it is our elections locations for week 1, Linden House Art Center, beginning on Tuesday, the 15th, through Friday, the 18th, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, the 18th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday, the 20th, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Continuing week 2, 7 a.m. to, I'm sorry, week 2, Linden House Art Center, Monday, the 21st through Friday, the 25th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday, the 26th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That time, week 2, October 26th, the other locations that will be open that Saturday are Linden House Art Center, Miriam Moore Community Center, Athens-Clarke County Library, Cooperative Extension, Tennis Center, all 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday, October 27th, Linden House Art Center only, 12 noon to 3 p.m. Week 3, Monday, October 28th through Friday the 31st, Linden House Art Center opens 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday, I'm sorry, through Thursday the 31st, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday, November the 1st, 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. Week 3, Miriam Moore Community Center, Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That final Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Athens-Clarke County Library, Monday and Tuesday of that week, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday and Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is the same schedule we would follow at the cooperative extension for that week. And for the tennis center for that week. The UGA Tate Center would be Monday the 28th, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday, 29th, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Wednesday, the 30th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. For a total, the number of voting hours of 478 total hours.
Okay. Motion, Mr. Shirley, and I believe Ms. Cameron made the second.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor of Exhibit A? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Hearing no opposition, the motion passes. 4-0, okay?
It sounded like a radio. Is he voting?
Yes,
Yes.
he votes against.
Out of an abundance of caution, do you all wish to make a motion about the Dropbox now that you finalized the schedule?
I will check. Shirley, we need to amend the agenda. Do we? Do we?
I
For the
mean,
Dropbox?
technically speaking, if it's, I mean, it's related though, because you change locations, you can't have a Dropbox. I mean, I don't know that it matters procedurally.
Yeah.
You have an opinion?
Stuff to know about location, so if we're relocating the Dropbox, I don't think.
Motion on the floor to relocate the Dropbox to Linden House. We will make that motion. Ms. Till, anybody want to second that?
I'll be happy to.
Okay. All those in favor of moving the Dropbox from the downtown location to the Linden House? What is the street address of the Linden House? Put that in the motion.
211 White. Right.
211 White.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
Got some.
I was like, wow.
Has to be any address in town. I gotta try.
That's good. Yeah, let me make sure that I- motion, and then,
Should procedurally, should we clarify by what date, until what date, or say not to be removed before the certification of the election results, like what? Should we clarify
what
what
time
time?
period? Like, should it be done tomorrow? Should it be done on the 14th, 15th?
The Dropbox?
Yeah.
Dropbox? It'll be prior to advanced voting. I think it'll be good.
But only to be open during advance.
Yes.
Yeah, it's locked otherwise. So.
Yes. Available.
Mayor too, and Durham.
We will have the beginning of advance voting.
During advanced voting hours.
Understand?
Of the minute.
To be moved by the beginning of advance in-person voting.
Yes.
There we go. Is it, do we need to explain, I mean, the law requires us, we cannot go outside the law, it will only be open to accept ballots during voting hours.
During advanced voting hours.
Shall we specify that? It's
Yeah.
law.
But why not?
To only to accept ballots during voting, during advance. Okay, the motion now reads, motion by Ms. Hill to move the Athens-Clarke County's one absentee ballot drop box to the Linden House Arts Center, 211 Hoyt Street by the beginning of advanced in-person voting and only to accept ballots during voting hours during advanced in-person voting.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. The motion passes. Dropbox will be moved. All right, let's go home. Next item on the agenda are announcements. You all right over there? Okay, the next meeting will be our regular meeting that will be held on Tuesday, September 17th at 120 West Doherty at 4:30 p.m. That our meeting that was moved up a week from what it normally would because staff is traveling for a conference. Next meeting on the books, or actually the next important date is October 7th, last day to register to vote. Or update your registration in time to be able to vote in November general elections. General election. If you have any questions, call the office. They're always happy to help.
And that's it, Darren.
Our next meeting is.
The 17th, yes. And then our October regular meeting will be the next day, which is October 8th at 120 West Doherty Street. Chair will entertain a motion. Sure.
I so moved.
On it. We have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.